Welcome back to another and our final farm to school recipe video. I'm Rachel, this is my kitchen. And today we're gonna make pizza because that is one of the recipes that you request most often when we're in the farm to school kitchen. So we're gonna use the same flatbread that we used when we made the salad and use that as our pizza crust. So the first thing we're going to do is measure 1.5 cups of flour, because I am making a small version of this recipe. And then we're going to add 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder to that. And 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Okay, that's our dry ingredients. So I'm just going to use my spoon here and give it a quick stir. And then we're going to add 1/2 cup of water and 2 tablespoons of olive oil, or whatever oil. And I'm realizing that I didn't grab anything to stir with, so let's see. I'm trying to remember how this went last time, and I feel like oh, okay, are we back? So I'm gonna stir this up. And once you start to get a dough together, you probably want to turn it out onto a lightly floured surface and knead it a bit. So I'm just gonna make some room, get a little bit of flour. And you just, my cart's rolling away. You just wanna knead this until it's nice and smooth. Okay, that's looking good. So now you could let this rest for about 20 minutes, or you could even just start rolling it out now, which is what I'm gonna do because we're hungry and I'm impatient. And I'm gonna start preheating my oven to 425 because I almost forgot to do that again. So you should do that before you start mixing things. So I'm going to scrape all of these odd little bits off and reflour my surface a little bit so it doesn't stick. And I'm gonna start squishing this out. I like to kind of squish it into a circle with my fingers before I get my rolling pin, because then it's more likely to stay circular when I start to roll it. If it's too stretchy and it seems like it's bouncing back a lot, letting it rest helps that. It makes it easier to roll out. So when you start rolling something out, you want to put your rolling pin in the middle of the dough and alternately pushing away from you and towards you, pulling towards you. But you always want to roll from the middle. If I roll just the edges get thin and the middle stays thick. And then you can flip it over, roll it again. So my pizza crust is mostly round. It's good enough for me. It's pretty thin, maybe about 1/4 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch thick. I'm gonna be wild and crazy and roll it up onto my rolling pin and then take it over here to my pan and unroll it onto my pan like a pro. And I'm using parchment paper on my baking sheet here to keep it, help it not stick. But you could lightly grease your pan, or another trick is to put a little cornmeal on it to keep the pizza dough from sticking. Okay, coming back to our prep surface here. And I whipped up a little pizza sauce in my Magic Bullet. Not a sponsor. It's just diced tomatoes, garlic, and some Italian seasoning and salt. So pretty simple, and then I just blended it a little bit. I'm just gonna put some of that on there, spread it out. You wanna spread it all the way to the edges. And of course, you can top your pizza with whatever you want. We didn't really provide many toppings beyond the sauce and the cheese for you this week. We provided some lovely greens for a side salad. You have a special ingredient in your recipe kit this week, which is garlic scapes. And they came from Le Gourmand Farm in Burlington, or Cedar Woolley. They're down here somewhere. And garlic scapes come up in the spring on our garlic plants, and they're curly at the ends, and they're just a really tender kind of stem, and sometimes they have a little bulb of garlic on them. And you can chop them up and eat them in salads, or you can saute them, or in this case, I'm chopping mine up and putting them on my pizza. I'm gonna scatter some mozzarella cheese on there. It's always surprising to me you need less cheese on a pizza than you think you do. And then I have for our pizza tonight some bell peppers that are gonna go on the whole pizza. Lots of bell peppers. And some cooked sliced sausage that's gonna go all over the whole thing. So everybody in the household likes this. And then tomatoes that are gonna go on only my half. And you can customize your pizzas, of course. And if you want to go even further, you can roll out individual pizzas with your dough and just have everybody top their own with what they want. So there's my pizza. My oven's not quite hot yet, so once it preheats, we'll put it in the oven. While my oven was preheating, I went ahead and poured my extra sauce into an ice cube tray, because this way, when I freeze it, I can defrost it in just enough for another pizza. Learned that the hard way over time. So I'm gonna stick this in the oven at 425 in the middle, and we're gonna bake that. I'm gonna look at it in 10 or 15 minutes, but we're gonna bake it until the bottom of the crust is crispy and the cheese is all melted and bubbly. It's been almost 20 minutes and we think it looks good, so we're gonna pull it out of the oven. And you can see, hopefully, that my cheese is nice and bubbly everywhere. It's starting to brown on the edges. And our flatbread is looking just beautiful. It's a light pizza crust, so don't expect it to get too brown. But you can see that it's brown underneath, which is what we want. Oop, kind of slid my toppings over. You don't have to do that. You can trust me. So let's see, my line of tomatoes goes here. So I like to let pizzas rest when I take them out of the oven before I slice them, but for your benefit, I'm going to slice this one hot. But if you let it sit for 5 to 10 minutes, the toppings kind of settle a little bit and you'd be less likely to have them all slide off as you're cutting through your pizza. There you go. A beautiful flatbread pizza. And if you don't have a pizza cutter, there's lots of ways to cut a pizza. Scissors, kitchen scissors, actually work very well, or just a good old-fashioned knife, but be careful of your fingers. And this is going to be too hot for me to taste on camera, so you're just gonna have to believe me when I tell you that this is going to be delicious. It has been a pleasure cooking with you during quarantine. I'm gonna miss doing these videos, but Keep up to date on our Farm to School Facebook page. That's facebook.com/Concrete Farm to School, because we'll have some fun stuff coming this summer to keep you engaged with the garden and with the kitchen. So, signing off from this version of our video for the last time, I'm Rachel. Have a good time cooking.